is I'm going to pop in there the good old holy trinity: ginger, chili and garlic. I always start that off when I'm doing Asian food. And I've got some spring onions as well that I need to use up. And do you remember from a couple of nights ago, I froze some of the beautiful coriander roots? So I'm throwing a few of those in there as well. That's going to give it such depth of flavor, which will be just beautiful. So they're going in. So the first thing I want to do is to just, and I'm also going to pop in actually some shiitake mushrooms. So these are the dried mushrooms that I poured boiling water onto for about 15 minutes, and I've just chopped a little bit. What's Max doing? Max! Now you don't need to add these, you know, it doesn't matter if you haven't got one of these elements. But I do love to put the shiitakes in because it gives such a lovely umami flavour, that umami savoury flavour, and that's going to just be very unctuous. So I just want to chop those so they're really nice and fine. So the lid's going on, the measuring cup's going on, and I reckon 5 seconds at speed 8 will do the job. Now here he comes. What you barking at? Don't you know I'm filming? I'm doing a live? I told you to be quiet. Dogs have a mind of their own. So that was just 5 seconds at speed 8, and you can smell that, Andrew?
Yep.
All the flavours. So you know this is going to be a beautiful, really tasty, intense filling. So I'm just going to scrape that down and repeat. Wash and repeat. Wash and repeat with all the little things. So exactly the same again. I'm just going to do 5 seconds at speed 8, and that's going to be really fast.
The aroma just hit me now. It is very pungent, very strong. It's, oh, that was beautiful.
Asian flavours. And you know that coriander root that most people would just throw out, just pop them in the freezer, and I've just taken 2 of those roots out. So now what I've actually got is a really very finely chopped ginger, garlic, chili. Now chili is not a typical thing you'd put in these, but you know me, I do love my chili. And that coriander root and some ginger, and that's going to be beautiful. So now I can add the rest of my filling items, and I'm doing pork tonight, so I've got about 200 grams of pork that I'm putting in there, and with the other 200 grams I've just got ordinary minced pork, a nice organic minced pork. With the other 200 grams I'm going to do one of my favourites, san choy bao. I just love that, so that's going to be dinner for tomorrow night, which will be awesome. Of course you can increase these quantities quite happily. So pork's gone in, and then I'm going to throw in some cabbage. Now, I didn't have a huge amount of time, I got involved in other things, but with the veggies that you choose to put in there, you want to have veggies that aren't full of water, so you would not put a zucchini in there, for example. And cabbage, believe it or not, does have quite a high water content. So I've actually literally put a teaspoon of salt on these, and I've already drained them off. And what that's done, I think I've probably had about 4 or 5 tablespoons of water come out of it. And that's just going to make sure that that flavour that I'm trying to get is not diluted. So remember, with most veggies, if you put a bit of salt on, it's going to extract water, and that's what I want. So that's gone in there, and now I'm going to introduce my flavourings. So, so Chinese wine, you can use mirin, Shaoxing wine, Chinese cooking wine, whatever you have. That's going in. Soy sauce. So we're going for dark, plenty. So remember, sesame oil for beautiful flavour and to add in a bit more of a fat component. I always love to throw in a teaspoon of my chicken stock paste. If you haven't made that, go to my YouTube channel. You'll see it features so much on what I'm doing, and a good generous amount of white pepper. So that's everything for my filling. And all I want to do is to mix those through. So I reckon about 10 seconds. It's 10 seconds. We'll do this twice at speed for 4.5. Alright, so you can see the colour of that mint has changed. That's called flavour. Lots and lots of flavour in here. So at this stage, what I'm doing is I'm just checking to see if I want to go again with the mixing, and I don't. This here is just beautifully mixed as I would want it. So I'm going to tip that into a bowl. You don't need to, you can actually extract from here, but just so you can see how lovely that is. And also how dry that is. Well, it's kind of moist, but it's not got a lot of extra moisture in there, so that is going to be great. So now I'm ready to fill my pot stickers, and I've just got some Geyser wrapping. So these ones are very light and very thin and can get quite crispy. Gougy wrappers, any of those wrappers are absolutely fine. Just buy them from Woolies. They're usually in the pasta section, and they are quite happily sitting in the freezer for when you need them, so you never need to run out of them. So what I'm going to do now is to try and separate some of these guys. Just do this nice and quickly if I can. Now this is great if you've got kiddies at home, husbands at home, they can fill it as well. It's a lovely thing to do when you've got people around, glass of wine, and you can have fun filling these up. So I'm actually going to do probably about 35 of these, and I'm only going to have a few of them tonight for dinner. The rest I will freeze in the freezer uncooked, and that's going to be beautiful. So the first thing I want to do now is I want to put in a nice heaped teaspoon of this. So you want to be kind of generous with your filling, and I need to all the way around with some water. Now if you're not into fancy folds, don't worry, just pinch them together nice and tightly and they will be perfect. If you do like to fold, I tend to go backwards. I'm holding it here in the middle. That's one pleat, two pleats, three pleats, and then I'm going to go onto the other side, and you want to make sure they are sealed in there beautifully. One pleat, two pleats, and three pleats. But it's not about the pleats or how nice and neat they look. All right, what it's about is all that lovely flavor. So getting any air out of those and just double checking that I have those pleats beautiful. So same again here, just round the sides, nice generous amount of filling, so a nice heaped teaspoon. Flatten that down, squash it together, and then bring up the sides, pinch in the middle, and then I'm only pleating from one side. So pleat, pleat, and final pleat. And if you feel you've got too much filling, just take some out. So pleat. So always heat the pan up first so I can feel that's heated. And I know because with this beautiful pan, which I love these pans, my favorite from Italy, but they've got a little green marking that tells me, yep, I'm ready to go. So what I want to do is just put a little bit either of vegetable oil, this is grapeseed oil, in the pan. And then I am going to pop these little pop stickers down. And this is how we get that crispy bottom, which I almost like to have burnt. So you can actually put loads of them in at once. You know, they don't have to have lots of space beside them. So this is what we're doing here. We're just going to get that crispy bottom. So it only takes a few minutes to get that nice bottom. You can pick it up, you can see it's starting to brown. Not ready yet though. So you can see here, Andrew, see how beautiful that bottom is? That's exactly what I'm looking for. So, happy with all of those. Always check the very last one you put in, looking beautiful. So now the second part of this cooking is to steam them. So we want to add in here, it's going to sizzle up a little bit. About half a cup of water. And you need to pop a lid on. And you want to steam them for no less than 7 minutes, 8 minutes. If you take them off before that, they're not going to be cooked through for you. So then what's going to happen is we are going to, so I'm going to put that down a little bit lower. I want to create the steam. This lid's a little bit big for this, but it will be fine. So 7 or 8 minutes. Then what you do is you take the lid off and you'll find most of that water will be evaporated, and you want to get rid of the last little bits of excess water, and what that does, it kind of crisps up the bottom again, and then that's when you take them out and enjoy them. So while that's cooking away there, I just want to make a quick sauce, a dipping sauce. Max, really? So I'll post this as well. So I've got to see this document. This is what happens in lives, doesn't it? Oh, come here. What? Come here. Excuse me. Out. This is what happens, you see, when you live in an apartment. We have noises from people. We've only got one neighbour on this floor. Can you sit down, please? Can you be quiet? Thank you. You stay there and be a good boy. Come on here and I'll give you a treat. All right. So back to my dipping sauce. I'll put this in the recipe as well. I'm going to add in here some chili oil, a bit of sugar. What's this one? Oh yes, some shouting wine.
So this is a dipping sauce.
So this is a dipping sauce,
okay.
And this will last about 4 days in the fridge. Some sesame oil for added flavour.
Or 1 day in our fridge.
Yeah, it'll probably just mealtime, won't it? There's a lot of sauces. A dark soy sauce, and then all I'm going to do is just mix these together. Now remember that golden rule, we always need to taste, taste, taste. So let's have a, you love that, Andrew. Very nice. So I'm happy with the sweetness, I'm happy with the heat, absolutely beautiful. And I like to dress that just with a few chilies, and to top that with just a little bit of coriander, which I should have here. Just a few little coriander leaves just to pop in there. You can imagine how good that's going to be with the.
So it's just. I could use that. I could use that as an aftershave.
All your favourite flavours, that's for sure.
Oh.
All right, so I am. What do you reckon? Probably not quite 7 minutes, but we'll just go with it. These ones will be just a little bit less well done. But so what I would then do is to take off this, and what you're looking for, the pleats. But you can see how they've held together beautifully. So I'm just going to turn up that heat, and I want to get rid of that water. And believe it or not, that won't take too long. And then the pan becomes dry again. And then you leave them on there for about a minute, and that's it, they're done.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time.